I never imagined being forced into an old man's arms could lead to an unbelievable escape. My heart raced that day, my breath hitching in my throat as I stumbled backward, panic coiling in my stomach like a snake ready to strike. The room spun. Shadows seemed to crawl along the walls, whispering secrets I wasn't ready to hear. I could still feel the echo of the chaos. The sharp clap of his hand on the table, the low murmur of voices that flickered at the edges like shadows, the unsettling calm that hung heavy in the air. That I blinked, eyes wide, searching for a way out. Suddenly, he was there. A frail figure with silver hair and deep lines etched into his skin, his clothes worn yet dignified. In that moment, he felt like an anchor. I was lost, lonely, and terrified. The old man extended his arms as if sensing my turmoil, a soft invitation amidst the disaster. His gaze, wise and penetrating, pierced through my fear. And before I could protest, I found myself enveloped in his embrace, warmth against the cold panic churning inside me. The world around us faded. I could hear the muffled shouts outside, the shrill laughter of children playing nearby, a jarring contrast to the dread that twisted my gut. He smelled of musty books and old pine, a strange comfort. I felt tears welling, a lump in my throat, as I whispered apologies for my reckless choices. How had I ended up here? With no friends to lean on, no family to guide me. Just me and this enigmatic stranger. That he held me tighter, an unspoken promise. But I sensed there was more to him than met the eye. He had stories, layers of unspoken history swirling within him, and I was drawn to uncover them. Somehow, through my tears and anguish, I could feel the flame of hope flickering. Could he be my savior, my unlikely partner in this horrific mess? But just as I began to feel safe, a loud crash shook the room, freezing my heart in fear. The door burst open, and figures charged in, figures cloaked in darkness, faces obscured. They were here for me. I could barely breathe, and suddenly, the old man spoke with a voice that cut through the chaos. "Trust me," he said, his grip tightening. "We can escape." An urgency surged through me as I glanced back at the looming threat and then into his steely blue eyes. Would I follow this stranger into the unknown? Could his promise of safety be real? As the chaos reached a fever pitch and the shouting grew louder, I made my choice in that split second of time. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The discord in the room reached a crescendo as the old man pulled me closer, his presence like a sturdy wall against the onslaught of terror. "Now," he said, his voice low and firm, cutting through the clamor of booted feet and angry shouts. I stumbled after him as he led us away from the chaos. My heart thundered in my chest, a primal echo of fear and adrenaline. Together, we slipped through the doorway that had just become a portal to another world filled with uncertainty, yet rich with the potential for survival. We moved quickly down a narrow corridor, every step fueled by desperation. The old man's fragile form belied a surprising strength as he guided me down the dimly lit passage, past peeling walls that seemed to whisper of forgotten stories. I was struck by the weight of his presence, as if he carried not just himself but generations of wisdom and loss. I stole a sideways glance at him as we navigated the maze-like hallway, searching for signs of who he really was. My questions felt like stones in my throat, the need to know pressing against my thoughts like a force. In that moment, I realized we were united in our flight more than just by circumstance. He too had experienced the horror of being hunted. "It's all right," he whispered, breaking the silence between us. "You are safe with me." It was a simple phrase, yet the way he said it wrapped around my trembling heart, offering a sense of grounding. Suddenly, a cacophony erupted from behind us, shouts filled with rage. I could hear the thud of footsteps growing closer. I glanced back, fear clawing at my thoughts. What if they find us? My voice was barely above a whisper, laced with panic. Just hold on, he urged, his grip on my hand tightening. Trust me. Before I could respond, he swung open a door at the end of the hallway. The sun poured in, blinding us momentarily. When my vision cleared, I realized we were outside. A small courtyard filled with wildflowers swayed gently in the breeze, a miraculous oasis amidst the chaos. For a fleeting moment, I felt the weight of dread lift, hope igniting in my chest. The old man hesitated for only a moment, scanning the area before taking my hand and leading me through an archway draped in vines. I could feel the warmth of the sun on my skin, a stark contrast to the chill of fear that still coursed through my veins. We dashed across the open space, the vibrant colors of the flowers around us reminding me of the beauty in a world I had almost forgotten. Where are we going? I gasped, the rush of air filling my lungs, mixed with the dizzying sensation of freedom. To a place where we can regroup, he replied, casting a glance behind us. We're not safe yet. That I stumbled slightly as we rounded a corner, my thoughts racing. The only thing that kept me from spiraling was the old man's unwavering resolve. I couldn't shake the anxiety that a shadow wasn't far behind us. But even then, within the turmoil, I began to notice something unexpected, a small trickle of kindness blossoming from my fear. As we reached a secluded spot behind an old storage shed, I leaned against the cool wood, the thrum of my heartbeat slowly calming. Why are you helping me? I asked, desperate for understanding. You don't even know me. True, he replied softly, his eyes losing themselves in the distance. But we carry our scars, don't we? I see traces of your struggles, a spirit that refuses to be broken. I can't abandon someone like you. His words washed over me like a salve, but before I could respond, a flash of movement caught my eye. I turned, heart dropping as I spotted figures darting across the courtyard, their dark silhouettes moving with purpose and precision. My breath caught in my throat. How had they found us? The old man's expression hardened with powerful focus. We must move. Now. Panic surged again as we scrambled to the other side of the shed just as a voice thundered to life. Find her. She can't have gone far. The darkness closed in like a suffocating shroud. I felt myself pulled back towards the old man, the very gravity of his presence igniting a fierce determination within me. But just as we were about to bolt for a side street, a loud crash resonated nearby, sending tremors through our bodies. And then, from behind us, a low, familiar laughter filled the air, a sound that sent a chill through my bones. One I recognized too well, an intimate reminder of betrayal. My heart hammered against my ribcage. Before I could process the implications, the old man's eyes widened. No, he breathed, looking at me with a mingled expression of dread and urgency. Not now. We need to run. Just as we turned to flee, the flicker of a face emerged beyond the shadows, a smirk that sent ice coursing through my veins. I was frozen, caught in the nightmare of recognition, staring straight into the eyes of someone who should have been miles away. Found you, the voice taunted softly, a sinister melody laced with recognition. My heart sank as I realized I no longer had just the shadows of the past pursuing me, the nightmare had just become personal. The courtyard seemed to shrink around me, the old man's grip on my hand tightening as he registered the threat looming just beyond our feeble sanctuary. Run! He urged, his voice dripping with urgency. Adrenaline surged through my veins, resurrecting the survival instinct that had nearly been smothered by despair. That I turned to dash down a tight alleyway, hoping desperately to shake the specter of the past, and the man who had once meant safety now twisted into a grim specter of my nightmares. But the figures chasing us were relentless. The laughter echoed again, cruel and mocking, a wind that whipped around us, threatening to pull me back into the abyss from which I was fighting to escape. The old man's shoes slapped against the pavement, echoing like signals through my focused thoughts. We have to find cover. He shouted, his voice slicing through the panic swirling in my mind. The alley diverged into multiple paths, and I felt my instincts scream at me to take the left turn towards a tangle of forgotten structures. We darted into the shadows, hearts pounding in cadence with our desperate flight. I had no idea where we were going, only that terror propelled me forward. The old man panted at my side, the weight of our urgency cloaked around us, binding us in a shared understanding of fear. As we drew deeper into the warren of paths, the echo of our pursuers dimmed, swallowed by the expressively graffitied walls and debris that lined the alley. Just when I thought we might have evaded them, the old man pulled me behind a tall pile of crates, their wooden surfaces splintered like the fragile trust we once held in our world. "What do you see?" he asked, his voice a mere whisper. I strained to listen, holding my breath, letting the anxiety wash over me as the sounds of pursuit faded into whispers. After a moment, I murmured, "I don't hear them." "Good. But we can't stay here long." He pressed his back against the crates, closing his eyes for a moment. The lines of age deepened on his face, and it struck me then that we weren't simply running from danger, was fighting his own battles. Just as I was in an odd twist of fate, I felt a flicker of gratitude rising like a flame in my chest. This man, a stranger bound to me by the urgency of survival, had become a piece of my fortitude. I dared to probe the silence, wanting to know more about the comfort he had offered amidst the chaos. "What is your name?" I asked, the question feeling monumental in our shared despair that he opened his eyes, revealing a depth of experience I felt compelled to understand. "They call me Eli," he replied, the name rolling off his tongue with a kind of warmth. "And you are?" "I'm Mara," I interrupted, as if saying it aloud would anchor me back to my own identity, away from the terror chasing us. "Mara. A beautiful name. It suits you." His voice was steady, his presence a safe harbor amid the storm. I felt a blush creep into my cheeks, unexpected warmth stealing my attention from the shadows that threatened to consume us. "Why do you help me?" I found myself asking again, the need for understanding cutting through the mounting confusion in my mind. "That I see you, Mara. In your eyes burns a light that they wish to extinguish. I cannot turn away, your spirit resonates with me." His words wrapped around my heart like a balm, yet a sense of dread settled deeper. "You are much stronger than you understand, even if it doesn't feel like it now." That a loud crash broke my reverie, sending vibrations through the ground beneath us. My heart dropped into my stomach. They were close. I peered over the crates, a flash of movement caught in the periphery. Shadows moved like restless phantoms across the alleyway. "They will stop at nothing," Eli murmured, his voice lower than before. "We need to find a way out, into the city's veins where they cannot track us." The urgency stoked the fire in my chest. With trembling resolve, I nodded. "Lead the way." Slipping back into the alleys, I followed Eli closely, my senses heightened as the remnants of laughter and rage echoed faintly behind us. Each step felt like a drop into the unknown, and for the first time, I dared to imagine a life reclaimed from fear. But shadows stretched across my mind as memories clawed at my consciousness. The face that had taunted me, my heart raced at the thought. I had to know who he was. My mind was a web of confusion. The betrayal, however distant, threatened clarity with a shroud of dread. At last, Eli paused and turned to me, urgency tinged with concern. "What's wrong?" I hesitated, the air thick with unsaid words. What if he knows me? What if I'm the one they want?" Ellis' brow furrowed deeply, his expression grave. "The truth may be dangerous, but it does not define you. Remember that." Before I could respond, something flickered at the end of the alley, a flash of color that sent a jolt through my heart. A bus sign, its lights flickering dimly. I gasped. There. Ellis' eyes met mine, and in that moment, amidst the cacophony of chaos thrumming around us, something of hope kindled within him. "Let's go," he urged, and we launched toward the flickering beacon, not knowing what awaited us once we reached its promised safety. As we rounded the final corner, I glanced back just in time to see a figure emerge from the shadows, their silhouette sharp against the fading light. My breath hitched as recognition tore through me again, a jarring reminder that freedom might still carry my fears clutched tightly at its edges. "Mara." The voice called out, laced with venom and familiarity, sending a chill spiraling through my entire being, and just as I turned to run, my heart aching with dread, the truth I dreaded to face awaited. The feeling of inevitability settled in my stomach, mingling dangerously with the small yet unwavering flame of hope. The bus stop loomed ahead like a mirage, its flickering lights casting an uneven glow over the cracked pavement. Every step felt heavier as I battled the rising tide of dread pulling at my thoughts. Ella's grip tightened around my wrist, leading me towards what could be either sanctuary or another cruel trap. "Mara! Stop!" The voice echoed behind us, slicing through the chaotic clamor of the city. I recognized it instantly. Lucas. The man who had once been my protector but had turned harbinger of my greatest fears. My feet faltered, and just for a moment, I felt the ground shift beneath me, the weight of his betrayal sinking in, threatening to pull me back into the depths of despair. Eli sensed my hesitation, the urgency of the situation pressing down on us like a vice. "Don't look back," he urged, his voice a firm anchor in the whirlwind of my thoughts. He was right, but the instinct to turn to confront the ghost of my past was overwhelming. We pushed forward, and as we approached the bus stop, I could feel the warmth of its lights brushing against me, almost comforting. But anger surged in my chest. How had Lucas found me? How had I let my guard down so completely? The familiar, charming figure I had once trusted was now the embodiment of the darkness I had fought so hard to escape. "Mara!" He shouted again, desperation lacing his tone. "Please! You don't understand what's happening." Those words hung in the air like a promise of more horrors yet to come. Could it be true? Was there something I couldn't see, a shadow hiding beneath everything I thought I knew? My heart raced as I glanced back, Ella's eyes meeting mine with a mix of caution and resolve. What did he mean? I whispered, though part of me didn't want to hear the answer. "Whatever he says, don't trust him," Eli warned, an edge of fervor cracking through his calm demeanor. "He's playing with your mind. We need to move," but just as we reached the edge of perception, a flicker of regret washed over me, and I hesitated. "Eli, what if he's trying to protect me?" I could hardly believe the words were coming from my mouth. The embers of hope that had sparked between us flickered like the bus sign above, vulnerable to the wind of uncertainty. "Protect you?" Eli shook his head, his brow furrowing. "Mara, the way he looks at you, it's not protection he's after. You need to forget what you once knew." That a blood-curdling laugh pierced the night, and in that moment, I was reminded that trust was a fragile illusion. I glanced back again, seeing Lucas's figure break through the halo of the streetlight. Rage twisted his features, and fury radiated from his presence like heat waves. "Stop running!" he called out. "I'm not your enemy. Not now."